I think we should probably head to Eden Park because this certainly looks like a pretty exciting clash after what we saw on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
I think we'll see two very different teams named. So obviously, I think Moana Pasifika changed 14 of their starting 15 from the game against the Hurricanes. So a lot of them will come back. The Blues obviously have a lot of big guns to pull back in as well. But just wanted to ask you first before you get stuck into the nitty-gritty, James. I don't know if you had to do many of the 3-day turnarounds back when we were doing Wednesday to Sundays and whatnot in the New Zealand Cup back in the day. Just how tough is it sort of getting your body ready for another game of footy so quickly after what was a pretty bruising encounter on Tuesday night?
Yeah, it can be really tough, and you don't really feel it until you sort of get late in the game, and in the second game you start to really notice it. But yeah, I think that the hardest thing is usually the preparation. You just don't get that preparation. So thankfully both teams are playing the same team, so I'm guessing they're going to come in with similar game plans. They're not going to change too much and probably just roll out exactly what they did the week earlier. But like you mentioned, I think both sides are going to be almost to their full strength this weekend. Looks like they played almost the second stringers on Tuesday, looking to roll out the big guns. And I think the Blues #1 side is a lot stronger than the Moana #1 side. So I've been wrong every time I've picked the Moana game. I've thought they're going to be close when they haven't, and when I've picked them going to get a hiding, they've been close. So I think this one could be a bit of a blowout, to be fair.
Are you sort of expecting the Blues extra quality to show through, or maybe the quick turnaround drags everyone back to the pack and we see another dogfight?
It probably brings them back a little bit, but given the teams are very different, I think Moana Pasifika will take more out of the game on Tuesday than the Blues will, knowing that their second stringers can sort of go with the other with the Blues. But yeah, I don't know. My sort of question or thinking is how big of a loss is Bodie, and is he done for the season?
Well, it sounds like he sort of passed obviously don't know the ins and outs of it all, but he passed the sort of initial concussion test, so he's not. But yeah, just the concern about seeing what was a pretty ugly looking head knock.
I can give you some insight there. He'll be back. He'll be back the next week. He's available against the Chiefs. So it was more of a stiff neck, which was giving him referring head pain. So thankfully, because man, it was the worst sight to see him coming off with what looked like a head knock, and especially after what he'd been through. So awesome to see and hear that he's doing well, and he should be back pretty soon.
Oh, there you go. That blows my theory out of the water. So
good to have some more Bowden Barrett mail on the podcast. Hopefully it's more reliable than the last one we had. Shout out to Matthew Fisk if you're listening.
That's right.
So yeah, hopefully we see Bodie back in action next week. But I think Stephen Perifetta has been awesome so far this season, right? It's certainly not a bad choice to have as your backup 10. And then you got Zane Sullivan, who I tipped out to maybe be an All Black bowler pre-season. I'm not sure how that prediction's tracking, but he's certainly got all the talent in the world. So yeah, the Rieko Ioane to come in, Caleb Clark scoring tries for fun at the moment. It's going to be a pretty impressive Blues backline, and then you sort of got
could easily be a game where you see pretty tight for the first 50 or 60, and then maybe the short turnarounds catch up with Moana Pasifika and the Blues run away with it.
Maybe a bit, like the Chiefs game at Mount Smart 2 weeks ago, where they were still very competitive for the first 50 minutes. So, although to be fair, I would have to say like the Blues against the Highlanders, they had all the ball and they were like creating line breaks at will pretty much in that first 40, but they didn't really like sort of put them to the sword and actually turn a lot of those chances into points. Is that something that's concerned you at all about seeing them, James? And maybe they're not the most clinical, they're a bit more style than substance, maybe? I don't know if that's too harsh or...
Yeah, I know what you mean, because I noticed the same thing, and it was the same against the Hurricanes when they played them down there at Forsyth Bar. I felt like they played almost the perfect 60 minutes of footy and then somehow managed to lose that game. So you're right that when they're playing well, man, they're playing some really attractive footy and haven't quite been getting the points that they probably deserve from different situations. But if they do start finishing some of these opportunities that they're creating from their shape and the way they're playing, yeah, I think if it clicks, it could be a big score.
Yeah, it does seem like, I suppose, one of those things where it might take them a few weeks to get going, sort of like the Crusaders, but then there'll be that one performance where it does click and they're putting up 50 points or something. Caleb Clark's got a hat-trick, Rico's got 2,
Maybe this could be completely left field, but is it more defensively? Like that Highlanders game, I think it was Sam Gilbert's 2 tries. It seemed like the outside backs were rushing, not a lot of talk, sort of man-to-man on the inside, and that's where Gilbert just sort of sliced through the line twice.
Yeah,
could be a one-off.
I did think defensively, I don't know if I'm just reading into this, but I was starting to see a lot of Joe Schmidt's fingerprints on what they're doing. So maybe I thought he'd bought a few of his defensive systems from what he'd been doing in Ireland over, and it has just taken them a few weeks to get everything up to speed, because I think that's a system, right? It sort of takes a while for it to really bed in, but once it does, you're going to be lucky to score 10 points a game against them, sort of thing, the way they work. So maybe something to keep an eye on, but I think the talent's obviously there, and you'd rather be creating the opportunities and not converting them rather than probably doing a Warriors and only scoring off.
Hey, don't do that.
Anyway, feel like after giving that little shot, and I have to probably let Karl have a few shots at the Hurricanes. So unless there's anything else you want to touch on, I think. I did actually just want to ask. I don't know how quickly. You sort of mentioned there's not much preparation time that goes in sort of these 3 days turnarounds. James, do we want to just be backing hookers to score tries again on Saturday night after it seemed like the whole game was a big rolling maul on Tuesday?
Yeah, it was interesting. I didn't really predict that either, but if you're going off last week's Tuesday's game, you'd be backing both hookers and probably coming away with the chocolates. But I think this game might be played a little bit differently. I just think the stronger sides and the Blues backline, I think they're really going to try and utilise their backline this week. So, it's interesting. I'm not too sure who'd be playing on a try scorer, but like you say, hooker's probably the safe bet.
Yeah, maybe a Kurt Eklund, Caleb Clark double with the Blues or something. Hard to go wrong with those two at the moment.
How far? This might be a dumb question, but how far away is Roger?
I think they said at least a month at the start of the year, so I can't imagine they'd be rushing him back for this game.
No.
Yeah, probably. But
just weather watch update too. It will be a lot of points. No rolling mauls, plenty of sun, very dry.
I did have a nibble on the number 2 to score the most tries in the Waddle power plays last week, so I was very disappointed Tuesday night's game wasn't included as well.
That would have been a game changer.
Yeah.
What was it, 5 in that game or 4?
It was it. I think there's 5 rolling maul tries and 4 of them were
doubles,
number 2s. Yeah. Ricky Talley got the second and third tries, which when you backed him for first try scorer,
no,
a bit frustrating, but we move on. It's all about the process.